Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about why it is absolutely ludicrous for guys out there to be afraid of gaining muscle in their hips, their glutes, and their core. And I mean for all practical purposes. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And the reason I want to talk about this is guys do this because, again, for aesthetic reasons, they're afraid of gaining muscle in these regions sometimes because they won't be able to win maybe a men's physique show. Although they wear shorts and everything, so I don't know why you'd be concerned about hip muscle because you have shorts on covering that up. No one's going to notice that extra ½ inch of hip muscle that you gained by adding another 150 or 200 pounds on your squat. So even for those purposes, it really doesn't even matter until you're in a thong prancing around. But guys worry about it for aesthetic purposes, and they don't understand that the reason you generally want aesthetics is to either impress other people, maybe to attract other people, or to intimidate other people. That's generally your reasons. And I can tell you right now, the aesthetics don't matter for intimidating other men, maybe to deter them from a physical conflict. Perfect example, if you want to talk about just straight size and looking strong, take someone who is horrifically aesthetic like Brock Lesnar. Are you really going to go pick a fist fight with Brock Lesnar if you saw someone who looks like him? Probably not. He's got massive traps, pretty big dude. You're probably not going to want to go grapple with that guy or pick a fist fight with him. And the reason he looks that way is one of the things that a lot of guys mess up on, and I see that even on YouTube, guys who get overly obsessed with traps, and they want their traps to be too big to match their delts. Well, that will actually ruin your aesthetics pretty quick. And I mean, even Bugenhagen talked about that, and I discussed that a while back with guys worried about all this yoke training. They need to be concerned more about developing their whole shoulder girdle, right? You need delts to go with your traps. Traps alone will actually make you look worse. But as far as that goes, that's going to be a bigger aesthetic mistake than getting overly developed hips or obliques or abs or anything like that, or glutes. But when we come down to that, even from an aesthetics perspective, I mean, seriously, if you happen to bump into a girl who likes muscle, and you guys need to understand, just looking good is not necessarily going to get you girls. But I can assure you, at no point in the history of the world has a woman who likes guys who work out and is attracted to them met a guy whose personality she liked, who she was attracted to, who looked down and said, I don't know, the guy just got too much muscle on his butt. His arms look good, the abs look good, he looks good, just too much muscle on the butt, it just drives my pussy up. I can assure you that has never happened. I want you to think about that. If everything's looking good and you're in shape, and it's a woman who likes guys who are in shape, you really think she's going to be turned off because you have a little bit too much muscle on your butt or your hips? And if you actually worry about stuff like that, you're more likely to put a girl off to begin with. So we kind of come back to the other point of when it comes to real functionality, a lot of people out there work out for health, work out for sports, you work out for having a better chance of surviving any sort of situation in which you could get hurt. I don't care whether it's a physical conflict or being hit by a car. Having strong hips and glutes and lower back and abs help you in every one of those endeavors enormously. And I mean even in a struggle. I want you to think about that. There is no disadvantage. There is no disadvantage at all to having stronger hips or glutes when it comes to any physical conflict. It's only advantage. And the only reason you might say, well, relative strength, I only want so much muscle here or there because I need to make a weight class in MMA. Well, there are worse places to have muscle than in your hips if you're trying to be a better fighter. And here's the thing. They're broken up into weight classes for a reason. Because if people are actually skilled fighters, a guy who's got another 30 pounds of muscle on you and is dramatically stronger than you is probably going to kill you. You're going to die inside the ring fighting him if you're of close enough skill. Now, if you're way more skilled than him, okay, that's a little bit different. But if a guy is bigger and stronger than you and you both are fairly closely matched as far as fighting skill goes, he is going to destroy you. Even Bruce Lee said that. And when it comes to things like certain types of grappling, but particularly kicking, I can promise you, I don't care how tough you are, You do not want another man to kick you as hard as he can who can squat 500 pounds and who has hips and thighs and glutes strong enough to squat 500 pounds. If he has any martial arts background at all and actually knows how to kick and he kicks you as hard as he can, you're probably not going to be getting back up too easily. Do the math as far as the force production involved. And yes, I know we live in the modern era, and I live in America, particularly where I'm coming from. We all carry guns, okay? I don't know anyone who doesn't pack. But in the off chance that you find yourself in a physical conflict where you don't have your gun, or you need to have maybe an intimidation factor, you know what? Having a body that looks like you're actually strong can be a deterrent. It might be a deterrent, particularly anyone knows they're doing. They look down, you go into a stance, and they see your lower body. You go in a stance, in fact, you might be ready to kick somebody. That might actually be a deterrent. And if you actually have to defend yourself, or you have to get involved in a contact sport or a fight, actually being strong instead of just looking strong is going to come in real handy, because then you can actually back it up. And the same thing, a lot of these guys will be afraid of these sort of things for aesthetic reasons, and they wonder why they suck at sports. Then they wonder why they don't do that well when they go do MMA. They wonder why they don't do well at football. They wonder why they don't run faster, sprint faster, jump higher. Hips and all of that are involved. All those muscles are involved in those things. Every single field sport, every single contact sport, you want your hips and your glutes to be as strong and as powerful as possible, and that usually means putting some muscle mass on them. You want a strong core. And what people need to understand, when you see certain people who have certain body types, you're like, well, that basketball player didn't worry about that. Yeah, he did. His coach probably did have him worry about that. He just has a slim structure, so you don't notice the fact that he's added an inch of hip muscle and 2 inches of glute muscle. You just don't notice it because he's naturally thin and tall. Not that he didn't add muscle there. And the same thing with the shorter, stockier power lifter. That's his structure. He had that wide structure before he added that inch of muscle to his hips. Trust me, you don't really notice the difference. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. And that's the thing, these guys are acting like this is something they want to pursue. But, I grew up in a different era, I guess. We grew up with He-Man. You guys remember the cartoon He-Man? He-Man looked like he could squat 800 pounds. He-Man didn't worry about having hips that were too wide or quads that were too thick, any of that stuff. So it's just kind of funny that all these guys are worried about this stuff today. And the thing is, they're doing so at the expense of neglecting muscles that will actually help you perform better in everything that you do in life, and will actually help you live longer, more likely to survive accidents, physical conflicts, car crashes, everything else. You're just more likely to survive. And then all the data we have showing leg strength and hip strength and everything else staves off half the negative effects of aging, right? Osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, hip degeneration. All right, having strong hips will stave that stuff off. Leg strength has been correlated with reducing memory loss and reducing Alzheimer's rates, everything else in long-term studies in older people. All right, there are massive benefits to this. And it's just ridiculous that people actually worry about this. They actually worry about, no, I don't want to gain too much muscle on my lower body because it might slightly distort my aesthetics in a negative way, when no one cares about your aesthetics that much. I can assure you that extra ½ inch of muscle being added to your hips is never, ever, ever going to actually stop you from getting laid. Okay, I don't care what your sexual preference is, it is not going to hurt your chances in any way. It probably won't meaningfully affect it. But it very well will help you in a lot of other potential situations in life. And it's all around beneficial to be strong. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.